Welcome to the Progressive Mind Show. My name is Senna, aka Alinko. Today we will be talking about the issue going on in the issue surrounding immigration. So the African migration issue going on in the United States. We'll be talking to Fasika, who is working with the situation right as we speak. She is from the OAU Organization of Africa Unity, here in Chicago. And we will also be talking to Representative Sonya Harper on the policy level, and also in regards to what her office is doing to curb and assist African immigrants that are coming into the United States from the Florida, California, Texas areas. So join us as we engage and discuss this very important issue. This is your community building show. And once you join us, we encourage you to share the feed so you can be part of the conversation. You can reach us on phone to chime in, share your opinion and whatnot. Once we begin the conversation, I'll be giving the phone number so you can do that. Today is December 19th, 2023, and we'll go straight to our guest this evening. Fasika is here with us. Fasika, good evening. How you doing? I think I missed it. It's United Africa Organization. My apologies. United Africa Organization. And Fasika is one of the directors there. Can you please, I know you've been on the show several times. Looks like we have Representative Sonya here. So, Rep, you are welcome to the show. Have a good evening to you. Okay, looks like you're muted, so we cannot hear you if you say something.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to see you. And in a little bit, we'll be introducing you. So, Fasika, as I was saying earlier, I did like you to give us a brief background of what the current situation is. First of all, for those who are watching the first time, who you are, what you do with the United African Organization.
Sure. Thank you, Sana. Thank you for having us back on the show. So my name is Fasika Alem. I am Programs Director with the United African Organization, which is an organization that supports Black immigrants across the state of Illinois. We do that in a number of areas. We provide immigration legal services, but also other wraparound services. For example, access to healthcare, housing, education, employment, and the like. We are based in the Woodlawn area in Chicago, but attempt to serve the larger Chicagoland area as well as other parts of the state of Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us that background. We appreciate the work you're doing with the organization, with immigrants, and in the city of Chicago. Now, because Rep Sonya is this is the first time we have on the show. Please give me a moment to properly introduce her. Representative Sonya Harper is. Let me go. So, pardon me. Let me go here. All right. So she has served as a representative of the Illinois 6 served over the Illinois District 6 for a couple of years now. My apologies. She has served since October 2015 up until now. Prior to that, she also in addition to that, she also served on several committees. She also has several committee assignments. One of them is the Economic Opportunity and Equity. She's Equity Committee. She's the chairperson on that. She's also a member, she's the chairperson of the Appropriations, Public Safety, Agriculture, and Conservation, a chairperson of the Alem Secondary Ed School curriculum policies. She's also served on several subcommittees. One of them is the Revenue and Finance. A brief background: additionally, she's also the executive director, Grow Greater Inglewood. She's also the president of Sharper PR Communications. She has a BA in journalism and broadcast news, University of Missouri, Columbia. She's the founder of Wood Street Meet and Greet Community Garden. She's also a community organizer, Resident Association of Greater Inglewood. She's a community representative of local school council Lingborn Math and Science Academy, co-founder and campaign director, Inglewood Votes, former director of outreach, Growing Home, and also a former news producer at Fox 19. Representative Harper, great service to our community, and thank you once again. And once again, you're welcome to the show. And we wanna first of all, I'd like to ask, you have a lot of community organizing background, and so one will ask the question: what made you decide to go into politics after this extensive service to the community?
The community made me do it.
Mm.
Around the time that I was appointed to my seat, because my former state representative, she passed away in office, and she was doing a wonderful job. But at the time, and as you listed in my introduction, I was running a whole lot of organizations in the community, helping them with their communications and public relations needs as we sought to just get a better coverage of positive issues in my community of Greater Inglewood in an effort to bring about positive changes in all the areas that we need, be it economic development, be it housing, be it better food access, recreation, and just streets and sanitation. And so I was on the top of organizing a lot of different issues in the community, and I answered the call when the opportunity arose. Many of the leaders and even other elected officials in the community pointed to me to take that space. But I am a journalist by trade. I was attracted to the industry just because I wanted to be able to tell the true stories behind a lot of the things that we would see about ourselves on the news. And so I come to this work wanting to expose the root causes and the root challenges of many of the different issues that our Black communities are currently going through.
Mm. Thank you so much for your service. Again, we appreciate all this work. Um, it takes a lot of sacrifice, and sometimes people look at the position. Oh yeah, she's state rep, but the responsibility and the risk, the sacrifices that you have to take to be there in day out, serving communities and doing your work for humanity is something that a lot of times we lose sight of. Now, what has been your most challenge task as a state rep?
Oh, goodness. There are so many, right? First of all, getting the voice of my community or Black people, period, recognized on the state level. One of
Mm,
the issues that I love to take on has to do with food access, because I come from a community filled with food deserts.
mm,
And so just even getting the legislature to understand the distinct issues or challenges that we have in our communities in enough way for them to act on it and act on it sooner rather than later. So I would say some of the challenge has been educating some of my colleagues on the issues that we face in our community simply because they're not going through them, right?
mm,
And when
mm,
I came to the General Assembly, I want to say in 2015, a lot of the very issues that we're dealing with today were nowhere on the agenda being talked about in the
mm,
General Assembly. And when you think about the time that it takes to educate lawmakers on a certain issue, and then the time it takes to actually pass policy, and then the time it takes to actually make sure that that policy is being implemented correctly, that's a lot of jobs for a lot of different people, but it's
mm.
one that I think that my community deserves to be done, and I do it to the best of my ability here in the House and here throughout the state.
Brilliant. A follow-up question. Now, you said something very powerful, and in your bio speaks to your your approach to what you do, and how you look at policies and how it would affect and impact folks. Now, would you recommend, or would you say that having had that background of working with people and being in the community, of course, is what drives you and it's what sets that foundation and makes you, of course, do some of the outstanding things you're doing for your people and for humanity? And would you say that for people who aspire to become politicians, and of course, and even those who are already politicians, would you say that the prerequisites to become a politician should be community service? Would you agree with me, and why?
Absolutely. Anytime someone tells me, "Oh, I want to get into politics or I want to have a particular position," the
Mm,
first thing I ask them is, "What do you actually want to get done? What
mm,
is it that you want to get done? What change do you need to make?" And
mm,
think about, do you really need to be a politician to make that change, right? I was
mm,
helping to create a local healthy food system, bringing in urban agriculture, helping to train farmers. I was doing that before I became a representative, right? I
mm,
was knocking on doors, telling people that they need to be involved in civic engagement, that they need to learn about the jobs and the roles of their elected officials more so than trying to pick somebody to vote for, because
mm,
I actually care, right? That we're actually doing the work to make the correct decisions for our community. So, yes, I would say that community service, a heart for community, community organizing, knowing the true voice of
mm.
the community and the true needs are definitely prerequisites for being a politician. But as we know, not everybody in America feels that way. And a lot of people middleman their way into
Mm.
politics and are there to serve corporate interests and other interests that may not necessarily be the interest of the community that they serve or that they appear to serve.
I think I can have a whole show with you, and maybe we'll put Fasika on the side and just what
I can come back anytime. We can talk all the time about these things.
Rep Harper, what do you love most about your job?
What I love most about my job is the education piece, right? Is showing and getting people involved in the political process.
Mm,
And even though it takes some work convincing that we actually do make a difference, right?
mm,
Your not only your vote makes a difference, but what you do
mm,
before and after the vote and how you get involved
mm,
in making the needed changes that you want to see, that you think that somebody else is supposed to make, how you
mm.
can get involved in making them for your own community.
Right. Mm. Powerful. Thank you so much. Have you ever run for the mayor of Chicago?
No, I haven't, but that's a long list of people all the time.
You have a powerful voice. This is the first time I'm talking to you. And on this platform, I have spoken to a couple of states, state leaders, county and city level leaders, and again, so this is not the first time I'm talking to politicians and leaders, community influencers, but you do have this natural power in your voice, and there is this passion, and one can speak, one can see, one can connect your work with the community and what you're doing now and how you deliver it. It's just a natural vibe that I'm getting. And so thank you for a great introduction and opening to our conversation this evening. And which tells me, or which gives me the feeling why you will naturally, I mean, you're working towards, or you're working to help the immigration issue currently ongoing, even though you are not an African. And I was talking to a group of people about this particular thing, African Americans helping the cause of Africans here in America, and of course in the state of Illinois, and in the city of Chicago. We'll dive into that a little bit. But Fasika, you are at the forefront of this conversation. You have been working with immigrants, not only immigrants within the African community, but I think across the diaspora. You've seen these things go and come. Um, can you give us a little overview for those who don't understand or who don't know the issue going on, the current issue regarding the African migration here in the states, and of course in the United States, of course, and in the city of Chicago? Can you please give us an overview of what is currently going on? Sorry.
Yeah, so thank you for that great opening, Representative Harper. That was amazing. But in terms of what we've been working on over the last year, I think is uh, largely an invisible community of migrants from the continent as well as the Caribbean that are not part of the narrative of, as of in terms of what we're seeing as what they're calling the migrant crisis, right? What we're seeing in
Mhm.
our city of folks being bused to Chicago from the southern border. But what people often don't realize is that there's a large number of Africans that are also crossing into the United States across the Mexican border. And many of them are coming to Chicago and other large cities like New York, Washington, D.C., and the like. And so, we've been over the last, just I guess this year alone, in our office, and we're one organization, right? We've seen over 500 Black migrants seeking services at our office. And so, it's a large number for one organization. And we know there are a lot more that we're not aware of, that we have not had contact with. And so, a large proportion of them, about 20% of them are Haitians. Another 20% are from Angola. Another 20% are, maybe 15% Senegalese. And then the remaining are folks from Cameroon, Congo, Ghana, Nigeria, and increasing numbers from Mauritania and Guinea as well. But you name it, across the continent, we have folks from Togo, from Ethiopia, from Sudan, from Sierra Leone, and many other countries that are represented among folks that are crossing the U.S.-Mexico border.
And from the statistics you just gave, it looks like the Senegalese numbers are higher than most of the Black migration that we're currently talking about.
Yes, we're starting to see a growing number of Senegalese. Initially, Senegalese crossing the border were going to New York.
Okay.
And if you've heard about the issues they were having in New York, in certain parts of New York, in Harlem, for example, a large majority of the migrants there are African, are Black migrants, and predominantly.
Can you share with us what they're going through? You said there's something going on. What is it that is currently happening to or going on with them?
Oh, in terms of their journey? I mean, the journey in itself is a very difficult journey, right? So a lot of them are flying somewhere into Latin America, Brazil, most of the time, and trekking across jungles, across 10 or more countries to make it to the US border. And along their path, they are dealing with trafficking, they're dealing with coyotes, they're dealing with being robbed, they're dealing with anti-Blackness, right? When they reach, we've heard lots of stories about what happens at the US-Mexico border and what they have to endure. Oftentimes they don't get support. Like makeshift system that the immigration has at the border in terms of how they funnel people into the country, or at least for them to be able to talk to an immigration agent in order to seek asylum, is disproportionately affects Africans or Black migrants, right? They are oftentimes less likely to have access. Now the US is also using the CBP1 app for you to be able to request an appointment for you to see, to ask for asylum. And so that system requires you to have a phone, requires you to have internet access, but then there's language access issues, right? The app is not available in any of the languages that Black migrants speak. It might be available in Haitian Creole, but I don't know if they have actually implemented that. Right. And then on top of that, they have to take a picture of themselves. So it uses facial recognition technology, which has a difficult time recognizing Black faces, right?
Wow.
So they have all these barriers before they even get to
the app that they're using to, as it were, to process these immigrants has features that makes it difficult to recognize Black faces, or they're just not capable of recognizing Black faces?
The technology is not made to, well to recognize darker skin.
Wow.
Right? So it becomes an issue for them to use.
And this is, we're talking about this technology is being used at which border now?
The US uses it. US immigration system uses it. So border CBP, Customs and Border Protection. When you get to the border, before you get to the border, you have to set up that app and request an appointment. And that's the way.
Can you tell us a specific border? Are we talking about Mexico, California?
All of them.
All of them. Okay.
Yes. So
I think go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Harper was, I pay your gesture. I don't know if you want to comment on this. Pape Sal, I see you in the background, so I'm going to bring you in. Give me 1 second. I want to hear from Rep Harper. Please go ahead.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
No, I per your body gesture, I thought you were beckoning to respond or to add to what she was talking about, what Fasika was talking about in terms of
No, I'm probably
and all of that.
nodding my head in agreement in, what immigrants are going through just getting here, right? And then the challenges that they're facing at the border. So I'm definitely nodding, in agreement that I know that these types of things are going on. And so, from my perspective, how are we repairing them? How are we helping them once they finally get it through, knowing all of what they're going through just to get here?
Yeah, no, thanks for adding your voice to it. It's I'm still trying to process that an app that's created to process immigrants that are coming to this country cannot recognize Black faces. Like, a few questions are coming to your head. Is it because that part of the country or that border, per history, they're not used to processing Black people? Or what? It's the first time I'm hearing, because even phone, people who use iPhone and all kinds of gadgets, facial recognition, technology picks all kinds of faces. So for this one is kind of a unique situation. It kind of bogs my mind a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the good observation, right? That there is I think what is happening is that, like any system that is built, it is not built with Black people in mind.
There you go.
Right? When you're talking about, we can talk about something that's not immigration. When we talk about, for example, in healthcare, for like pediatric healthcare, when we talk about growth charts and how they expect a child to grow, that initially those were not built with Black people in mind. Right, when they measure the shape, the width, the circumference of your head, they're not those. What is standard and what is expected is not, what the data they build into that is not data based off of Black people or people of color.
In consideration. Wow.
Right. So I'll tell you a story. I mean, when my daughter was young and they used to do the circumference, they'd have to measure it 3 times because they thought, oh, this is outside of our measurement. And I said, wait a minute, I'm Ethiopian, we got big heads. Right. So that's, I think, the issue that we're facing at the border, that it was not built with Black immigrants, Black migrants in mind.
Okay. Wow. I'm still processing this, and but the show has to continue. So thank you so much for sharing. I'd like to bring Pape Sal on the show. Pape Sal, am I pronouncing the name correctly?
Yes. Yes.
Pape Sal. Okay. Papi, how are you today?
Good. Senna?
Yes. Thanks for joining the show this evening. And we're talking to Fasika. I'm sure she's been working with you. Rep Sonya has, high level working on policies to see what we can do about the situation. I know you have a long story in terms of how you got here. First of all, what country are you from?
I'm from Senegal.
Okay. How long have you been in the United States?
Been 22 years now, yeah.
22 years, okay. How did you get to find about United African Organization, and what's the connection there?
Yeah, I have say hello to everybody.
Yes.
So I'm a little bit late, and I'm sorry about this.
No problem.
Part of the show late because I was doing collecting some quote from the African community. We just dropped like a full truck of quote. We are doing quote drive from my job, and we bring it over to the masjid on 90th and Stony Island today for the African community, because was driving earlier around Home Depot. They are still over there, and
Yeah.
it's not cold. It's very cold today, and they need it. So I was trying to call people to go get whatever chance they have to get the call.
Okay, so you're saying that United African Organization provides some amenities like coats and home use appliances and food and whatnot for people, African immigrants or immigrants who are in the city of Chicago who need these things.
Yes, yeah, I know about that because I have my couple brothers from Africa. They work with the African United, and they told me all about it. And all these African people from Senegal, when they come to Chicago, they call me for help, and I always take them straight to the African United. And yeah, I have a connection with Khalifa and Mamadou, and they introduced me to Fasika yesterday.
Okay.
And yeah, a couple months ago, before they come here, I met somebody was over there too. I myself stopped over there to the office.
Okay.
People
great.
If I may add, Sana, Mr.
Yes.
Sal is a leader within the Senegalese community.
Uh-huh.
And they've been doing a lot of work to support Senegalese migrants that are coming to the city. So when he was talking about the code drive, he's collecting the codes and making sure that, folks that are out, when he's talking about Home Depot, he's talking about the day laborers. There are a lot of our folks that go to Home Depot looking for work. So he's providing codes for the guys that are outside looking for work.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been busy all the weekend. Like last weekend was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There was some Senegalese community government. They come here to Chicago to whoever want to apply for ID from Senegal or passport from Senegal. I've been working with the government in Senegal. They was here Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I take them to the airport. They're back to New York right now. So anything about the Senegalese community. So
yes.
I'm in charge for the organization.
Papi, thank you so much for your helping and doing a great job in the community. Thank you so much. But what I want to ask you is, are there some new entrants or some newcomers who have just come from Africa, going through the whole Brazil, routes? And can you tell us a little bit about their story? How did they get here?
They get here from like everybody. They get here from Senegal. The first migrant come to Chicago. They coming straight from Brazil.
Brazil.
Brazil. It take them like 3 months to get here.
Okay, can you tell us the route? Is from Brazil to Panama? How what countries do they have? How many countries do they have to go through to get to what states in the country?
Yeah, it's a long route, but I forget about what they told. It's been like 2 years ago. The first 3 people who come here, they work from Brazil, Panama, and they take the bus from Nicaragua, and they cross the border of Mexico, and from Mexico to US, it take like maybe a week, 7 or 10 days working. So before they get to the border. And now they were the first coming in Chicago. They coming from Brazil. Now they come all the way from Senegal to Nicaragua, the straight flight Senegal to Nicaragua. Then they take the bus from Nicaragua to Mexico. Then from Mexico, they do the route, like go back and forth, and
Right.
they
Papi,
get.
let me ask you. When was the last time you worked with anybody or any African who just came from Senegal or any other African country? When was the last time?
I see them every day.
Every day. Okay,
Yes.
so you know somebody who just came into Chicago through the borders a week ago or this month actually.
This month, yeah.
Okay, now one would ask that if this journey, of course, I mean, if you look at the route, it's not expensive. I'm sorry, it's not cheap, which means they have to save a lot of money and to embark on this. Now, is sometimes the question that I get from other folks is that why wouldn't they spend the money? Why would they use this money to start a business in Africa or start something in Senegal? Wouldn't that be beneficial than take this risk because they could also lose their lives? Do they share some of these reasons and why they want to embark on this, even though they have that money and that could start something in Senegal?
That's why I told everybody. But the US, it's not only African people. It's you see the Chinese people. You see people from all over the world. They try to get to the US because they think you come to the US, you got better life here. And that's not the case. And once they get here, they find out that's not the case because you got your house, you got somewhere to stay all day, sleeping at night. You never see, even Africa is poor, you never see people sleeping outside. They have a room, they have a house, and they come here sleeping outside because they spend too much money, and they find out the money they spend here to get here, they can spend it over there to start a little bit of business. That's why you talk people, but they don't believe you until they get here because everybody think America is the big country. Soon as you get here, you got a better life. That's that's everybody thinking. So you cannot stop. Nobody can get to the US to stay over there. Yeah, that's
over the how long have you been working with United African Organization? 20 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Actually, I go through United African from my people who work over there from Senegal.
Okay.
Wherever I have to suggest, I go from there.
Okay. So in total, right. So in total, how many years have you worked with Fasika and her organization?
It's like it's been 2 years now. Yeah.
2 years now.
Yes.
Right. In these 2 years, how many people do you think you have seen coming through this borders? 25, 10, 20?
Like I thought every day when I see people.
So no, in total, do you have a number? Like, can you guess a number? 5, 10, 20, or 15?
I can say every day, like almost 100 people over there.
100 people. Okay,
it's too many people. Yeah, too many people. Yeah. So I don't.
You can count
the numbers, but it's like too many.
That
people.
makes sense. That makes sense. So Fasika, if you can just add buttress,
and they working. They working hard. The United African, they working hard because I know the Senegalese people. I know the African people. They looking at whatever they want to get, but I see the I mean African organization. They handle all this problem these African people have. They help them to get coat. They help them to get food. They help them to get whatever they want to get, ID and everything, even cash money. Yeah. So it's that was something we Senegalese community appreciate for the organization.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Papi Sal. I'll come to you again, but Rep Harper, I know you've been listening keenly. Do you want to comment on any of the things we've shared so far? If not, do you perhaps have a data on the number of African immigrants that are coming through the state of Illinois, perhaps within the past 5-10 years?
Oh goodness, I don't think I have numbers on the
Okay.
data of
Right.
the number of Black immigrants that have come through the United States,
Mhm.
but I have passed a new law that will help us to figure out what that data is and look
Mm,
at it and to figure out in what ways we can better help the Black immigrants who have
mm,
recently come to the state of Illinois.
mm. Thanks. And back to the issue of devices that are used to process immigrants that are not able to recognize Black faces. Now, that's on a national level, and I know you're not, you don't work in that space, but you think something can be done gradually to kind of affect that process or make changes in that process from your office or from the General Assembly of the state of Illinois?
When you're talking about the facial recognition services, that is something that I'm definitely have my eye on.
Mm,
Um, I actually just recently attended, there was a Pritzker Forum on Global Cities where they talked about the role of AI in cities, and we heard all types of horror stories from across the waters about how their AI systems, especially being used in law enforcement, do unfairly target Black people or people with dark skin. And so that remains one of my top priorities as we see actually what authority or jurisdiction we do have over those things here in the state of Illinois. But to me, it does sound like more of a federal issue, but that I know that it's something that we're going to be studying also on the state level.
thank you so much. And Fasika, no, I want you to, I wanted to follow up with you regarding, no, actually, I wanted to add to what Papi was sharing. But let me stay with Rep. Harper for a second. Because I know you have a task force. You actually have set up a task force to look into this issue. Would you be able to share uh, more lights on that for us?
Yeah, so for the past two years, two sessions,
Mm,
I've introduced a joint resolution to create the task force on Black immigrants here in the state of Illinois
mm,
to talk about some of the very things that we're talking about in the show today. We know that there are current disparities in policy and law concerning Black immigrants and that they are rooted
mm,
and racism and that they unjustly target Black immigrants. And so I know that there is so much work to be done to address the struggles of Black immigrants who have been left out of policy decisions for too long. And so that is what my task force seeks to study. In a year, we will look at a number of different issues that Fasika, who is a newly appointed member of that task force, that will help us to go through. And basically what I'm looking for at the end of the process is an action plan or a game plan for what are those policies or programs or funding mechanisms that we need to put into place, or those changes that we need to make that will better help to serve the needs of Black immigrants, particularly here in the state of Illinois. Um, Again, we know that Black immigrants experience disproportionate interactions with the criminal justice system and discrimination overall. We know that despite no evidence of higher criminal activity, that Black immigrants face arrest, prosecution, and incarceration at elevated rates, just as African Americans do. And we know that the immigration enforcement systems compound these issues, right? Leading to the criminalization, detention, or deportation of Black immigrants. And of my own I have experienced delays and or difficulties going through the immigration process from those coming from African or Caribbean countries, places where Black people are coming from at USCIS, or any other issue deemed important to Black immigrants, we care to cover with this task force. And so that's even an ask to you and to others out there in the community. Please let me know what issues need to be on our agenda specifically, because I think that this is our one chance. And I hope that this leads to more chances of us being able to finally give voice to a population that I feel has been left voiceless in policy.
Thank you so much for sharing. And if I may ask a follow-up question, how long have you been working on immigration issues as a state rep?
For me, it's probably been about 3 years, and I
Mm,
am very new to it. So I am very much leaning on the expertise
mm,
of my new friend Fasika and those
mm,
other people who
mm,
will join as parts of our task force and help us to produce this report and
mm,
help us to be better engaged with the issues on the ground in
mm.
our very own communities.
what made you? How did you get connected with Fasika? The reason I'm asking this question is that that's obviously you're black, but you're Black American, African American. You don't have to deal with immigration issues. Your community does not have to deal with immigration issues. You have your community have their own set of problems that you are tackling and fighting for day in day out. Actually, I mean, you all know it. The black issues that are in this country that African Americans are fighting for. And so, what would make a black legislator in Chicago, in the state of Illinois, be concerned about immigration issues that does not really, have to do with your community? If anything, some people will say immigrants are coming here and they're taking jobs from Chicagoans and Illinoisans. So, what makes you wanna? What makes you? What makes you help in the way you do?
First of all, I care about all people who
Okay.
are a part of the diaspora worldwide. Number two, I'm married to a Jamaican and who we've been already going through our fair share of issues with the immigration system as we seek to get him here home to America with me. And so even in that has made me more aware of the special issues that I feel like Black immigrants go through that no other immigrants go through. And I don't think it's right.
Thanks for sharing. Really appreciate that. Fasika, so per what Papi has shared, prior to us starting the show, you and I are just basically being curious about the dangers that these African immigrants face en route to the United States, as they go through these channels. When you were sharing some of them, can you please let our listeners know some of these real-time dangers that they have to face, they have to deal with?
Yeah. I think I also quickly, Senna, want to address your previous question to Representative Harper. I think, as she had mentioned earlier, there are a lot of issues that are similar across our communities, right? Talking about law enforcement, over-policing, incarceration, and racism and discrimination that affect our communities similarly, right? Yes, Black immigrants don't have the generational traumas that are associated with enslavement. However, we come with the legacy of colonialism, right?
You're talking about Africans.
Africans, yes.
That are coming.
But when we get here, right, we experience, because of our where we're from and how we look, right, we face similar barriers as the African American community. And so I think this is an opportunity for us to build solidarity, right? We can learn how to work together around issues that are mutually beneficial to us and build power in that way, so that we can all kind of uplift each other, right? We don't have to say, oh, this issue doesn't concern me, it doesn't directly impact me, and therefore I shouldn't be concerned about it. I think this is a time when we need to have more unity and work together to address the issues. Look at the African immigrant community. Despite the fact that a lot of African immigrants are educated, right? About 50%, 45% or so of African immigrants have at least a bachelor's degree. But when we look at employment and access to employment and poverty, you'll find that a lot of Africans live in poverty despite their educational levels, right? And these are things that are tied to the racialized way in which this country functions. And so these are the types of things that have to unite us and in working, being able to work together across issues. So I just wanted to make that point.
Absolutely. Thank you for reiterating that. I appreciate it. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So now I forgot the question you asked.
that was the dangers, the real-time dangers that these immigrants face as they make their journey down here to the United States.
Yeah, so I think some of them are, physical dangers, right? A lot of them are walking across jungles, having to cross very large bodies of water. And so a lot of them, if you talk to the people that are coming across the border, you will hear a lot of horror stories. They are seeing dead bodies all along their way to the US-Mexico border, particularly around Central America, around Panama, and as they cross, as they coming further, the Darien Gap and all of those things are physically dangerous places to be in. And a lot of times there are a lot of folks that are coming with children. We have families that have come across that space, a mom with a 5-year-old and an infant. We're talking about parents who have lost children along the journey. People drown. There are, animals in the jungles that create a dangerous situation. And then if you are lucky enough to get past all of that, then you're also dealing with the dangers of human trafficking, of people being, exploiting you or physically harming you. And so the whole journey is a very dangerous journey. And I like to say, while some people may have a choice, I don't think many people leave home because they want to. Right? No one wants to leave their home unless they feel forced to do that. And so we hear stories of people who are not able to have freedom in their home countries because of the beliefs they hold, because of their gender identity or their sexual identity, or because of traditional practices such as child marriages or female genital cutting. And all of those things are some of the things that are forcing people to flee.
Wow. Thanks for shedding more light on that. I really appreciate it. We want to take a short break. It's 6:49 Central Time. You're watching the Progressive Mind Show live on Facebook and YouTube. If you're on any of these channels, you can share with your friends and family members, so we can, as we learn and get informed of with the current situation going on with African migrants, we also getting to understand the need for unity within the diaspora. A lot of folks probably that do not even know what diaspora, the meaning of the diaspora, because we hear diaspora a lot. Just a group of Black people that live in a space, or a group of people that live outside their, I would say, their natural, or they are not the place, the place of their country or residence, right? So we have the Jewish diaspora, we have other race diasporas, we have the African diaspora. Again, some people will say Black diaspora is basically a group of people. So Black people who are living outside their countries where they're from, their natural place of birth. And in this case, African Americans are here. Africans have traveled here. Caribbeans have traveled here. South Americans have traveled here. So this community of Black people makes the African diaspora, and you can use a diaspora for those who do not understand the term or what it stands for. We also have to be cognizant that as a community, we have issues, even though they differ. We have to pay attention to. We have to be mindful of how we are connecting with each other and paying attention to what's going on in our communities, because even though the issues may be different, they are all intertwined. And so paying attention to these things that are going on in Black communities and in our community general is very, very important. And this is what we try to do on the Progressive Mind Show. Every Tuesday, we're here from 6 to 8 p.m. To have these conversations. We also curate events to extend these dialogues in our communication, in our community. So please feel free to join in and share your opinion. The number to ring is 815-277-5047, 815-277-5047. If you want to share your opinion or just ask, be part of the conversation. Please feel free to do so. And I know it's almost 7 p.m. We're going to wrap this conversation very soon. What is the way forward for regarding this? I know the state of Illinois, it's a sanctuary state, and of course the city of Chicago. So, Rep. Harper, at the state level, are there any new policies? Is the governor or the legislators basically looking at the migration crisis and taking steps to provide more assistance? Because as we hear, our brothers are on the streets in the cold looking for jobs. So, I don't know if there are any policies to render more assistance to organizations such as the one United African Organizations, other organizations that are doing the same. If there are, please let us know. If there isn't, and you guys are working on something, we would like to know as well.
Sure. Well, I would like to say during the last session, I was the chair of the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus, and I was proud to make sure that for the first time since my knowing, we got the United African Organization in the budget on its own line item. And so that is something that we will continue to fight for year after year. And we need more suggestions on what are those other entities that we need to make sure that we are supporting at the state level, be it in our budget making process or in other ways. As far as what Illinois has done for migrants overall, they have done a lot over the past year or so. More specifically, we've invested in an additional $160 million to address this crisis of the arrival of the asylum seekers. 30 million of that goes to a large intake center to coordinate new arrivals. 65 million of that goes for shelter for the winter, prioritizing families and individuals with disabilities, and another 65 million to expand wraparound services for independent living. There has also been state-led efforts to expedite the temporary protected status and the employment authorization process for asylum seekers. And so we continue to see what more we can do. As it relates specifically to Black immigrants, I'm always looking for what specifically can we do more to help them. And I'm really hoping that this task force, as well as getting recommendations from you guys, we will know what that is sooner rather than later and be able to act and implement those policies sooner rather than later.
Fantastic. Have you had a lot of support during your campaign seasons from the African or the Caribbean communities as an African American legislator?
In my political campaigns?
Yes.
I can't say that I have.
So there's a reason. So it's important. It goes to the point that Fasika was making, right? But that you have an African American who is fighting for Africans, right, and Caribbeans who are going through immigration issues. But when you're running for office, you don't see us, right? So the encouragement to folks in the Caribbean and African American, and African, Caribbean, and South American communities is that Black and brown communities basically is that we have legislators who, because I don't know of any African who's at that level who's working on immigration issues, and trying to protect us and provide some of the things that we need and lack in the state or in the city. And so to see a Black person do it, even though they might not necessarily come from my immediate community, it's important that we pay attention to the politics, because all of this has to do with policy. And if we don't have people like you fighting for us, the situation is going to deteriorate more than likely. And so we need, this is an encouragement. I must say, this is an encouragement to my African community, Caribbean community, and South Americans. African Americans are championing our cause here in this country. We don't live in Barbados. We don't live in Haiti anymore. We don't live in Nigeria, Burkina, Mali, or Ghana anymore. We now live in the state of Illinois. We live in the country, in this country, and we live in all the cities, and most of the time, it's just Black legislators that are fighting our causes. And so And so when we become citizens, when we have our green cards, and when we are able to vote, we are able to be part of the political system, we cannot sit idle. We cannot sit idle and just watch. Some of these politicians who are helping our causes, we need to get involved. We need to support them. You may not be able to there to help their campaign or be there at their events, but you can donate to their causes or share some of their flyers. We need to develop these attitudes. It's very important. It must be an exchange of how we are supporting each other. If we're talking about unity, this must be it must be a two-way streak. It must be a two-way streak. And I really love the heart of Rep. Sonya Harper, and I know there are other Black legislators who are fighting for the cause of fellow blacks in this country and the state of Illinois, the city of Chicago, and just really wanted to stress on that. Very, 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 very important. My brother Papi Sal, any comments so far? I think it's about 7 p.m. In a little bit, we'll be wrapping up this conversation. I'll be coming to you regarding your specific needs. I know you have a ton of things going on. You have hundreds of people coming in. I'd like you to share that with us. And what are your immediate needs, and how can people like Rep. Harper and others support what you're doing and provide you with more help to ease your burden? But Papi Sal,
Yes,
a direct question to you. Having worked with the Senegal community and helping folks come here, do you think that the Senegalese that you are helping in the city of Chicago, in the state of Illinois, do you see a lot of them patronizing African-American products and services, their community, their events, being involved even in the political process, trying to support some of them? Do you see that? And if you don't see it, what do you think we can do to encourage more of that?
Okay. Anything we do for the Senegalese community, I take it over to Fasika, to the African organization.
Okay.
So they do the job. They help, because the only thing I can do is take them over to the organization. They have the powerful African representative. So they help all these Senegalese people. What I can do is just to take them over to the organization.
Okay.
For the next step is for Miss Harper. I hear about spending too much money for the immigration, like $30 million, $6 million, $65 million. And if you walk around the city of Chicago, it's too many players. They're looking for help wanted. We hiring, and this African community is standing outside the call on Home Depot or somewhere working, looking for job every day. Even today, I take people around to look for job, and they don't take nobody without documentation. Is any case they can help these people. They come here to get better life, and they don't mind working. They're ready for work, and they cannot work because they don't have a documentation. Is any case without expedite the work permit, so temporary they can have like seasoning job for the holiday or something they can, get some cash money to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think no, it's a fair question, but I want you to respond to the question that I asked, right? Do you see the Senegalese community or the African community getting involved in the political process, supporting some candidates who are doing and helping Africans? Do you see that in the community?
Yes, they do.
Okay, you do. Okay, all right, good. And that's what we want to encourage, right? And for those who are not, we want to encourage that, because it has to be hand go hand come. She will be staying up late, working with working on policies, writing these policies, debating at the assembly, and like the help you are asking for. Yes, we need it. But once we get these jobs and we get this help they're providing us, we can turn our backs and say, okay, we have our thing now. We have to we have to pay attention. That's the point I was trying to make. So thank you so much for responding to that. Fasika, what are so I don't know, Rep Harper, he just made a point, or he made a request in terms of some of the dire needs of these immigrants. I don't know if you heard him and you want to respond to it or not.
No, I wanted to say I'm taking notes. So thank you for your input on that. And that's something I can take back to the leaders in the legislature and even to the task force to figure out how we help to get that we help to figure out how we get those things expedited.
Thank you. Fasika, thank you so much for that response, Rep Harper. And then my brother Papi, thank you so much for putting that across. Fasika, you are the forefront. You're getting receiving these people day in, day out. What are the needs currently, and how can anyone, not just Rep Harper, but anybody, come to your aid to mitigate the challenges that you're facing right now?
Yeah, so, and even in response to your question to Mr. Sal, is that a lot of these folks right now are really in survival mode, right?
Got you.
Because to even get a footing, the first thing that they need is shelter. And the Senegalese community has done a lot to really support one another, to support folks coming here. And they have been the one community that has really have been able to figure things out within, with community support.
Right.
So, and shelter is, a huge first step. We have more than probably by now, maybe 230 or so Black migrants in the city shelters, across the various shelters that the city has put up for migrants. A large majority of them are Haitians. So, and then a lot of our people are outside of shelters. They're doubling up with others. They are, we've provided emergency housing for about 50 to 60 families. And we still have another 50 to 60 that are waiting for emergency shelter. And so shelter is a critical need. And the way I think that we can handle that is we have a lot of landlords in our community. There are a lot of African and generally just a lot of Black landlords that could provide some support. There are families who could open up their homes to take in one or two people here and there, or people can give financially to be able to help house a lot of these people. And once they get that little respite of shelter, a lot of them are very resilient. They are ready to work. They will find work while they figure out the immigration situation. And so housing is by far the most critical. Next to that is immigration legal services.
Okay.
We have a small team here, but let me tell you, our immigration team does at least 30 asylum intakes a month.
Wow.
Right? So to provide asylum legal representation for 30 people is a huge task. So we've been hosting asylum workshops to help people petition for themselves, to help them prepare the application that our legal team reviews, but we don't provide direct legal representation for. So if there are folks that are willing to support us in that work, you can help us with our asylum workshops. We particularly, especially if you have a language ability, if you are a French speaker, if you're a Wolof speaker, if you speak Portuguese or Haitian Creole, we need you, right? So volunteering at UAO to support our work is going to be important. So 3 things: help us with figuring out housing. Can you have somebody stay with you for a few months? Can you help? Can you donate to help us house somebody? Are you a landlord that can maybe even work with the city to provide rental, to provide housing, and then the city provides the rental assistance funds? Can you volunteer at one of our workshops? So those are the few things that come to mind. But there's a whole other advocacy piece that goes with this work as well, right? Making sure that the voice of Black immigrants is being amplified, right? We're not the faces of immigration. And so therefore, it's important for us to be in the spaces of advocacy, to always be engaging our legislators about what we're seeing, to make sure, for example, last week, we had to fight to keep Chicago a welcoming city, to keep it a sanctuary city, because there were those in city council that were using this opportunity and this crisis to create division and put a question on the ballot that would potentially repeal the welcoming city ordinance. And that disproportionately would affect Black immigrants, who are 3 times more likely to be detained and deported because of contact with law enforcement, despite not being any, having necessarily committing more crimes, but because of our contact with law enforcement. So, being present in advocacy efforts also to continue to keep Chicago and the state of Illinois safe for everybody, I think is an important area that our community needs to engage in. And as you mentioned earlier, voting is a very big part of that. We have approximately 15,000 Black voters in the city of Chicago alone. And therefore, that is a significant number of people who could affect policy, who could
15,000 Africans, or just Black in general?
15,000 Black voters, Black immigrant voters, Black immigrant voters.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes, 15,000 Black immigrant voters.
Yes.
And so that is a significant number to be able to affect change in the city of Chicago, right?
Yes.
But we all have to participate. We have to do our civic duties, right? We worked hard to become citizens. I just became a citizen this year. So, and it's our duty to participate and make sure that we're getting out to the polls and voting pro-immigrant.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. And it just buttresses the point that I was making earlier, right? And just to clarify, obviously the people who are coming in, who are trying to survive and get processed and just get some jobs and stuff. No, those, of course, they're not even eligible to vote yet. But I was looking at the community in general, the Black immigrant community in general, the African immigrant community in general. I've been in this city for some time, and I don't see that energy to the point you make. So I'm just underscoring what you said, that we have to step it up. Africans, Caribbeans, South Americans, Black immigrants, we cannot sit behind and just assume that is their fight. Okay, let the politicians do their thing. The people who vote would already vote. We cannot continue in that type of behavior. We need to change our attitudes and be active. And that is how we make the changes. That's how we bring about the changes that we're looking for. Because it's our people, it's our siblings. It could be my cousin that's coming here. And actually, I spoke to a lady who was supposed to have contributed on this show. I gave her a talk somewhere, and she came up to me and she said, "Oh, because I mentioned this show," she said, "Oh, I like to share my story because I just came." She said, "I'm in a month in the state of Illinois, coming through this route," and she shared the story with me, right? And I didn't know her from Adam, but she told me she's from Ghana, which is where I'm from. Come to find out that the person she's staying with is a very close friend to my sister. See how it's all connected? And so that person may not be the one eligible to vote, but I have to be involved. We all have to be involved, those of us who are here, to make sure that we're getting the help that our people need. But if we don't support those who make the policies and make make the laws, then we're not helping the cause. We cannot, as a people, exist or continue, in this fashion. That is my observation.
Yeah.
There are a few comments that I want to read. Fasika, please go ahead. There are a few comments.
I was going to say, so I hope we can count on you, Senna, because come next year is election year.
Yes.
And election year, we have our democracy project in which we canvass to get the Black immigrant voters out to the polls. And we're just talking about the importance of voting. We're a 501c3, so we don't endorse candidates, but I think just getting people to go out and vote and to look, to learn about the candidates on their own. But the main goal is to get people out to the polls. So we do canvassing and we do phone banks, and I hope I can count on you to help us with that.
Absolutely. No, that's definitely what we need to do. And for Rep. Sonya Harper, yes, look, we have to throng to her events. For those of us who can, we share her campaign messages. So she already has a support in myself and our followers, because I'm definitely encouraging everyone to support her. She's on the show. She's spending an hour and more just to discuss these matters, and she's going to go home and keep working on our behalf. Why not? So thank you for coming. There were comments that I want to read, so let me just go ahead and read these that are coming through. I'm really enjoying this show, and God bless the team. Thank you so much, Nancy Otopa, for sharing this. Kwesi Kejo, I know who this is. Civic duties are super important. If we don't get involved, who do we expect to do it for us? We are forgetting that just a couple of decades ago, we were not even allowed to vote. Let's get involved. Thank you so much, Anthony, for your comments. We really appreciate it. Wow, this is very important issue. From Nancy again. This one is from Ella. She says, this is a very important and eye-opening discussion. Thank you, Ella. Obaya, my own cousin. Thank you for sharing this. She's all the way in on the East Coast, and I'm sure, Obaya, you are aware of this going on. So get involved. Contact reps who are working on this, and let's see how we can support each other in fighting for the cause of Black people in general. This is super important. Mutia says, always timely conversations. Thank you, Mutia, for your comment. This is coming from Shubi Boko. Thank you for the work that you do to make sure our people are taken care of. I am assuming this is going to Fasika, Rep. Sonya Harper, and Papi Sal. Thank you so much for that comment. Okay, thank you. Hopefully, we can talk to some legislators from New York and get some people from there, from the East Coast, who are also going through same thing. So Ella, let's see if we can work on that. If you know anybody, if you don't know, we can scout and get people involved, and so we can get perspectives from the East Coast regarding Africans or Black immigrants. Shubi Boko says the invisibility of Black immigrants has to change. It will only do when we take charge of our narrative. Thank you so much, Shubi. The number to ring in is 815-277-5047. 815-277-5047. 815-277-5047. If you want to ring in, just commend the work that these great leaders are doing, or ask questions. Please feel free to do so as we are about to wrap up this discussion. And I just wanted to give our guest the opportunity to share their final words with us as we close, as we bring the conversation to a close this evening. I really have appreciated all of you, but I think we needed to take a short break. That was what we were going for earlier. But let's take this short break. When we come back, we'll wrap this conversation up. Welcome back to the show. My name is Senna, aka Alinko. This is where we have discussions that are pertinent to our communities. This is where we bridge the gap between Africa and Africa communities and the African American, basically the diaspora. This is where we bridge the gap between our continental Africans and African Americans, because this is the era where we understand that our coming together, our unity, our forging of that, our working towards, our being intentional when it comes to our unity becomes very, very crucial. If you look around the world, it looks like everywhere is going crazy. Of course, we can talk about the Israel ongoing war. Who knows where it's going to end us? Who knows how it's going to escalate? The Ukraine war is ongoing. China is working hard to make sure they become the next superpower. Of course, America is here, and everybody's working hard to protect their communities, to uplift their community, uplift their people. What are Black people doing? Whether you're on the continent of Africa or you are in the diaspora, what are we doing when it comes to our people and our survival, our development, our growth, our well-being? If you hear the stories of how people are risking lives just to get to America, Africans, it's saddening, and we can't. All we can do is to do our best as individuals. For us who know better, we need to reach out, and so this is very, very important. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're going to be wrapping up in a little bit. For those who are looking for graphic work in whether it's flyers, logos, newsletters, business cards, websites, reach out to us. We're more than happy to give you quality work at affordable prices. We have done a lot of work for other leaders in the community, and so reach out to the Progressive Minds Show, whether on social media or via email, which is info.progressiveminds@gmail.com, info.progressiveminds@gmail.com. Or you can ring 815-409-9123, 815-409-9123 for all your graphic website work. Please reach out to us, and we'll give you very good rates and high quality work as well. Fasika knows what we do, so she can vouch for us. As we wrap this discussion, somebody said they were having sound issues. If you are having sound issue, if you're still having that sound issue, please let us know. We'll see what we can do about it. That said, we'd like to have our closing remarks, and let's start with Papi. Papi, as we bring the show to an end, can you give us your closing remarks with regards to this conversation? Please go ahead.
Thank you to Mr. Senna. Thank Fasika to bring me up on the show, and thank Miss Harper for her time to being on the show over hours now. And like mentioned what Fasika say about housing, and this African community, they need somewhere to stay. And we packed up all this house. Everybody help to take people to this house, and some organization, religion organization, they take people over there. Is overloading now, and they need somewhere to stay. And like I mentioned earlier, if they can help them to find a job, they don't mind getting them on places. And I see the city of Chicago, they put tent somewhere and try to help. I was looking at, they closed a couple years ago some school. I don't know if they cannot use it, if they still have it, the city of Chicago, for housing. They can remodel it for the migrant to stay, to be warm enough, because it's too cold. They need somewhere to stay. And we see all the effort the United African do, and we see all the effort the city of Chicago and the governor did, and all this political part. But they need some more, support. And for me, the first thing is the job is to find the way they can find a job, because
Yes.
people need help, and
Right.
they need to go
It's
help
difficult.
them and to make the money.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
Thank you.
Thank you, Papi. So I will be getting in touch with you. It's not easy to lead communities and to do what you do. So I really appreciate your sacrifice. I'm very touched. Thank you so much. Fasika, please give us your closing remarks.
Yeah, so thank you, Sana, for giving us the space for this conversation. I think it's an important conversation, and I feel like this is the start. And so look forward to continued conversation, right? Because I think that's how we're going to find the solutions, if we continue to engage one another in what is happening and kind of coming together to think of solutions for our community. I want to thank Representative Harper for all the work that she's doing. I'm very excited about the task force that she is forming and what that means for the Black immigrant community across the state of Illinois. I want the African community to understand that the Illinois Congressional Black Caucus is a huge supporter of the Black immigrant community, and the fact that their leaders, including Representative Harper, are championing these types of legislations, these types of resolutions, is what I think what is going to make a difference for our community. And I'm truly grateful. I'm excited about our work moving forward. And Mr. Sal, thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for all the work that you do with the Senegalese community. You guys are really a real example of the community shouldering the burden of caring for your brothers and sisters. And so I hope that we can continue to highlight you all as an example. And then, if I encourage others to reach, to keep up with the work that we do, to reach out if you have questions, or if you're able to volunteer or support our work in one way or the other. We're on the social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Our website is uniteafricans.org. And so please reach out to us and, follow us on all the different platforms so you can keep updated on the work that we do.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fasika, for sharing. Really appreciate it. Rep Sonya Harper, please.
Thank you so much, Senna, for allowing me to be part of this conversation today. Thank you, Fasika, for making sure that I was a part of it. Papi Sal, it was very nice getting to know you, and I hope that we can further engage in the future. I'm looking forward to continuing to work on this task force to give voice to our Black immigrants and make sure that we're doing what we need to do at the state level. And of course, my own personal ulterior motive is to build power across the diaspora so that we can attack and fight all of these issues that we face all across the globe together. That is my true wish in my heart. And so I look forward to even keeping in touch with all of you guys as we figure out what that looks like.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of things coming, and so we're excited about what has been done and what is to come, and we're looking forward to working with you. Maybe, Fasika, we should also have a campaign on Africans more. We should encourage more intermarriages between Africans, Caribbeans, and African Americans, right? So it helps it helps our forging of unity. Maybe that would be another route to it's already happening. I mean, of course,
it's already happening.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But maybe add more oomph to it. But I have learned, I have enjoyed every bit of this discussion this evening. For those who contributed, we really appreciate you for being part of the discussion. Next week, Tuesday, same time, we'll be here with another topic or conversations that is geared or designed to help us move along as a group and as a more powerful force. Last comment coming through, it's not easy It's not an easy task leading an effort to liberate our people. Kudos to Rep Harper, Fasika, and Sal for dedicating your lives to do this. You hit it right on the head, brother. This is very much sacrificial. And I know that Rep Harper, after a long day, debating or whatever she has to do as a rep. I've one thing I forgot to ask you. Your constituent is comprises of how many neighborhoods or communities? Can you just say them real quick? I forgot to ask you. That's one thing I
Sure.
wanted to.
So I have the Inglewood, West Inglewood, Chicago Lawn, back of the yards, a little bit of Canaryville and Bridgeport, South Loop, and a tiny bit of River North. So Chicago City Hall is in my district. The White Sox Stadium is in my district.
Hmm.
Inglewood is in my district where I'm from.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. All right. No, great. And in spite of all this busy schedule, you were able to dedicate time to come on the show and share. We really appreciate it. Remember, this is a not-for-profit 501c platform. Your contributions to us help us to get the show sustained. And so we encourage you to go on our website, theprogressivemindshow.com. Theprogressivemindshow.com. If you Google, it comes up. And make donations to us so we can keep going and keep bringing you these important discussions. Papi Sar, we have to rope the Senegalese into the Jollof debates, right? Because currently it's only Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon is trying to force their way in, but Senegal is up there. So we need to.
I don't think you want that fight because they got no best.
Wait, Fasika, you think they're gonna win?
I that's my favorite jollof, Senegalese jollof.
Fasika has been biased because
she know about it.
No, to be honest, I have Gori and Yasa. They do have some great jollof, so I agree. Well, on that note, thank you all, my great guest, Representative Harper, Sonya Harper, a state rep of the 6th District of the state of Illinois, Fasika, United Africa Organization, and Papi Sar, a community leader in the Senegal community here in Chicago. Thank you so much. Once again, remember, to whom much is given, much is required. My name is Senna, aka Alinko. We shall be here next week, Tuesday, to continue these discussions. Stay blessed. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye. See you guys.
Bye.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye.